are also our priorities. Our delegation will extend its full support to him to achieve these objectives. I also pay tribute to Mr. John Ash for his effective leadership of the past session of the General Assembly. We commend the Secretary General's efforts to find diplomatic solutions to complex challenges to international peace and security. We appreciate his leadership in hosting a climate summit. Mr. President, extreme weather patterns are disrupting world economies. In Pakistan, we have directly experienced such a calamity only recently. The monsoon floods in Pakistan have had devastating impact. We are mobilizing all our resources and ingenuity to provide relief and to ensure recovery. The international community should intensify its efforts to move from awareness to commitments to actions on climate change, which is playing havoc with the economies, particularly in the developing countries. Mr. President, this is a defining moment for the United Nations as it embarks on the task of transforming the lives of billions of people by investing in sustainable development in the next 15 years. We are setting ourselves a vital target of eradicating poverty by 2030. To do that, we need to go beyond the Millennium Development Goals. We need a new approach to eliminate conflict and violence and reduce inequality within and among nations. Only then we will be able to ensure healthy lives, empower women and girls, improve quality of education, create jobs, and guarantee supply of affordable energy. The time is ripe for such ambition and action. The Sustainable Development Goals crafted so far must be woven in an overarching framework. We must prioritize them. First things should come first. Peace, stability, and inclusive economic growth all come first. At the national level, we have launched our Vision 2025, which puts people first. This is inspired by our founding father, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, whose vision of a welfare state based on the principles of justice, equity, and responsibility. In the coming decade, we will develop human and social capital through investment in education, health and gender parity, stimulate sustained economic growth, prioritize energy, water and food security, modernize public sector, and encourage private sector-led entrepreneurship. We have determined that regional peace and security, political stability in the country, the rule of law, and social justice are absolutely crucial for the realization of these goals. Above all, we will continue to work for the promotion and protection of human rights. Energy is key to economic development. Pakistan co-chairs the Group of Friends of United Nations Secretary General's Initiative on Sustainable Energy for All. The objective of this initiative are also our national goals. Mr. President, it is my government's aspiration and effort to build a peaceful neighborhood by pursuing a policy of constructive engagement. In South Asia, our people have missed opportunities for prosperity because of unresolved conflicts. We have a choice today: continue with the status quo or to seize the moment to resolve all outstanding issues and free up our shared energies for cooperation. To take this course of high statesmanship, we need more, not less, dialogue and diplomacy. We need to respect each other's rights and sensibilities. We must have relationships based on equality, mutual respect, and transparency. We were disappointed at the cancellation of the Foreign Secretary level talks by India. The world community too rightly saw it as another missed opportunity. Pakistan is convinced that we must remain engaged in the dialogue process for settling disputes and building economic and trade relations. Let us not ignore the dividends of peace. Mr. President, more than 6 decades ago, the United Nations passed resolutions to hold a plebiscite in Jammu and Kashmir. The people of Jammu and Kashmir are still waiting for the fulfillment of that promise. Many generations of Kashmiris have lived their lives under occupation, accompanied by violence and abuse of their fundamental rights. Kashmiri women in particular have suffered immensely. For decades, attempts have been made, both under the UN auspices and bilaterally in the spirit of the Lahore Declaration, to resolve this dispute. The core issue of Jammu and Kashmir has to be resolved. This is the responsibility of the international community. We cannot draw a veil on the issue of Kashmir until it is addressed in accordance with the wishes of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistan is ready to work for resolution of this issue through negotiations. Our support and advocacy of the right to self-determination of the people of Jammu and Kashmir is our historic commitment and a duty as a party to the Kashmir dispute. Mr. President, Afghanistan is going through momentous security, political and economic transitions. As always, Pakistan stands in solidarity with the fraternal Afghan people. I congratulate the people of Afghanistan over the successful completion of the electoral process and offer our warm felicitations and good wishes to the new Afghan leadership. It is our earnest hope that these landmark processes would culminate in the emergence of a stronger, more stable and unified Afghanistan. We also hope that the process of inclusive, Afghan-led and Afghan-owned reconciliation would move forward, contributing to greater harmony, stability and prosperity in Afghanistan. Pakistan remains committed to forging a deeper bilateral relationship with Afghanistan on the basis of equal security and shared prosperity. Our two nations confront common challenges which call for greater cooperation and understanding. In the past year and a half, we have consciously reached out to Afghanistan to address difficult issues and build on convergences. We have made headway in this effort. Mr. President, Pakistan has launched a massive operation to eliminate terrorism. Complementary counter-terrorism measures on the Afghan side of the border are essential to achieve optimal results. This past summer, the people of Gaza were subjected to mass atrocities by Israel. We condemned the indiscriminate killings of civilians, which amounted to genocide. From this platform, I once again convey Pakistan's condolences and sympathies to the people of Palestine over their continuing plight. We welcome the ceasefire between Gaza and Israel, but next steps must also be taken. The blockade of Gaza must be lifted, Palestinian prisoners freed, and illegal settlements halted. The United Nations should facilitate a just and lasting solution of the Palestinian issue based on the relevant UN resolutions. We call on all parties in Syria to renounce military and militant means and hold dialogue to restore peace and stability in their historic land. The emergence of new militant entities in the Middle East once again illustrate that terrorism is a global threat. This primitive force in Iraq and Syria is an aberration which has no sanction of any religion. It must be countered with unified and resolute will. Mr. President, we condemn terrorism